Right, so I'll be able now to carry on by installing Apache Ant. And I believe, well, yeah, this did require the Java binary, so this will, oh, we need glib as well. Okay, that opens up a whole new can of worms. So maybe it was a bit too early to run JDK. Yeah, this requires, okay, yeah, I might not be able to do this now then. I focus too much on Java. Recommend, oh no, I might be able to do this. The only thing is there's optional packages here, and as it said in the introduction, that some of the optional packages are expected to be installed because that's the way the instructions for some of the packages are written. So we'll have a go and see how far we go, but I'm going to have to note down to rebuild some stuff anyway. So I've got Apache Ant. Right, so copy link address. So this is an optional patch, as you see it's for log level selection, and a required one for memory corruption. So we definitely need that one. But we have got docutils. Oh, no, we haven't got docutils installed. We've got libxslt installed. Let's have a look at this one. These might be small enough. Yeah, that's just one Python module, in fact. So we can do that. So let's get that loaded and download that one next. Okay, docutils. Remove previous versions. I doubt if there are any, but there might be. That's compiled, and we'll install it. Okay. So that's docutils. Let me do that one on my list, which is under Python modules. Okay, and shut that one down. Then glib, which we've already downloaded, so let's extract that. And this will have to be reinstalled because there's lots of optional packages, and many of them will be installed. So cd glib 2.864. Right, that's interesting. This is not purple anymore, as if I've been there. I definitely have installed this. Just check the version 1.1.45. Yeah, so it looks like it, Falcon might have forgotten the links. Let's set up preferences to remember them. It makes things a bit easier. Privacy. Right, that's come on the other screen. Allow storing of, alright, so delete cookies on close is set. So I'm going to unset that. Let me bring that across. So that was set. So because I've shut down the machine and rebooted, it's deleted the cookies. So I'm actually going to undelete that, so that if I have to reboot into the Raspberry Pi 500 Plus again, it will remember the links. So I'll just open that in a new tab and close it so it sets the colour. And I'll have to bear in mind that maybe some of the other links won't work. I wonder if it's worth going through these again. Yeah, and I have to be on my local one as well. BLFS, no chunks. I want it to be on this one really, so let's do that. And I'll go through each of the ones that I've done so far. Yeah, see that one's gone as well. wget libtasm. I'll just click into them, set the colour. Open SSH next. Links. It just helps with me knowing whether I've installed it or not. If I see that the colour of the link's not been set and I've got doubts that I thought I had done, it's going to get a little bit confusing, so this will just help. GPM's not there, so is it under general purpose? Capitals maybe, GPM, yeah. Zip. ICU 78.2, yeah. Presume that's the only version. Yep. libxml 2 docbook. Right, XSL nons. That one there. And nettle. Is that there? No. And LZO. libarchive. Docbook. XML 4.5. libxslt. Right, that one's done because I've just done that one. And the Java one should be done as well. No, it isn't, funny enough. That's strange, even though it was loaded. But this source one is yet to be done. And finally, docutils we've just done. Well, that's under the Python modules. So if I click into that, in fact, I might need this one pinned, come to think of it. Will I? I don't know actually. But yes, that's been marked off, so that's good. So we can go back to glib and carry on. So this is the patch for the warnings. If previous versions of glib is installed, move the headers out of the way, so we haven't got any previous versions. Fix memory corruption, which is compulsory patch, and then start the build. See if there's anything here. So it looks like we can just copy that in as it is. And I imagine we'll see that some of the optional dependencies will come up as not found in here. So what have we got? Cairo, for example. Is Cairo there? No, it isn't. Can't see anything actually. Sysprof is one of, yeah, Sysprof, that's an external. I thought there might be more responses to state that some things weren't installed. Okay, oh right, so Kairos for some tests, Dbus for some tests, Fuse, didn't see anything about that. Oh, both needed for tests. Okay, so most of these are for tests then. That's for tests with circular dependency. Well, that's not a problem because we're installing this now, so we shouldn't have any problems building this. In fact, yes, it has been building because I copied all the commands in. So really, it's probably just rebuild this for testing to gain some assurance that it has been built correctly. It says there's some MIME type related functionality in GIO requires update MIME database and update desktop database utilities, which are part of shared MIME info and desktop file utils. Let's have a look at that one. So that requires FOP, which we're trying to get installed. And that's just glib, so I reckon we could probably get these installed at some point. What's GIO? Is that part of this, I presume? Oh, object introspection. Yeah, it's knowing when to install these things, if they can be, oh yeah, runtime dependencies. Okay, so we can put these in after we've installed FOP and XMLTO. Okay. So now let's install it. That looks okay. Build object introspection. So this must be what GIO is, I presume. Okay, and run some tests. So we've got one failure. Let's see if we can identify what that is. Right, did it say which one failed? Meson internal test. Oh, did I spell that wrong? Right, I'll just go, there it is, there is it? No, just scroll down to find out what failed. There it is there. Oh, so it looks like it might be something to do with UTF, character encoding. Yeah, that's in codec 1, so it could be because I've got yeah, the wrong setting for language. It seems more and more things need UTF these days, so what I think I might do is to change this, if I can remember where it's set. Is it profile.d I18N it will be, will it? Locale.conf. Locale.conf. Right, so that's the bit I need to change. And I need to find out what the name will be. So if I do locale -a, is it? I think, yep. So I want to change it to that. So let's see if I can remark that out. And put that in instead. So lang equals that. Okay, because I'm not the super user. VI etc locale.conf lang equals that. And in fact, this will probably have to be in uppercase. TF8. Right, I need to get up the Linux from Scratch book because I can't remember the command to check for that. So let's put LFS 13.0. And I want to check the system locale. Yep, this is what I want to do. So I want to change that with the locale that I am using, which is that one there, I want to use. So it is UTF-8, right, that's what I wasn't sure about. So I need to put a dash in there. Save that. So file source etc profile echo $lang. Oops. Right, so that's changed, that's fine. So I'll rerun the tests now and hopefully I'll get a completion, a successful completion. In fact, I've come up with some nice emojis because I've changed the char map. Right, and I've got no failures now, so that's good. So I'll probably leave that UTF-8 as it is, because as I say, I've found in Gen 2, which is my main distribution I use, that many things expect to see UTF-8 as the locale setting. So that's that done. Let's install object introspection. This is we're doing. Now generate the introspection data. It doesn't say to do it as root, so let's come back out. Okay, and we don't wish to install API documentation. You might want to if you are a programmer and you program glib. If the glib environment variable is set, unset it before running the tests. Okay, we haven't set that yet as far as I know, but let's check it. No, it's not set because it's not completing. And the reason why we're running the tests here is because I skipped over it, but it does say that test suite requires desktop file utils for some tests, so we'll probably have to go and install that first actually before we do the tests here, so as it's a runtime requirement. So let's whiz up to the top here. This is a bit messy, but it's okay. We'll install these two. So I'll open that one and open that one. I'll bring this back down to here, so that reminds us that we've got to run this as the non-root user. So this one requires XMLTO. What did this require? Oh yes, this required FOP. And that's optional. So I'm going to install shared MIME info again after FOP. And this is just optional Emacs. I don't use Emacs. I've never installed it. But I think that's got a few requirements if you did want to. Yeah, quite a lot. So I'll skip that. So as far as I'm concerned, desktop file utils is the one to go for next. So I'm going to push directory back to the sources. I have to try and remember that I've pushed that and fetch this. And install it. So if you're upgrading previous version, you must remove the symlink. So we haven't done that, we're not upgrading. So let's just build it. No test suite, so install. And that's done. So desktop file utils, I'll put that on my document. Desktop dash file utils, there it is. Okay, and configuration. Okay, so it looks like we've got to run this as the root. Okay, so that is done. Shared MIME info. And an optional download for the test suite. Right, okay, always try and remember to check the command explanations in case there's any extra options in there that you might want to take advantage of. And also I was just looking to see if there was any information about this XMLTO, because it might have been to do with installing API documentation, for example, in which case I wouldn't be installing it. But there's no information there that I could see, so I'll go ahead and build this. So this is, what's this called? Shared MIME info. And I wish to run the test suite, so I'll run this first. Now build the package. And then because we've built XDG MIME, we can run the tests. And that's successful. And install that. And that looks like that's done. So I'll tidy that up. But I'm going to put in a note on my spreadsheet. So this is shared MIME info. To rebuild after what was it called? XMLTO, wasn't it? Yeah, XMLTO, which is after FOP. Okay, so I'm going to leave that here. I'll highlight that to remind me that's what I need to do. Come back to that and we should be able to run the tests now for glib. I'm not sure how much they rely on. Right, I shouldn't have deleted that directory, should I? I don't know if they rely on that XMLTO, but we'll try and run the tests anyway. So let's run that. Okay, so that's finished building. It actually says there wasn't any failures there, but I did notice there was an error, so maybe it ignored it because it knew that some of the packages required for testing weren't installed. So I imagine those packages would give a fuller coverage of tests. So that's actually quite good. Because it's done that. It says that it skipped 6 anyway. So I'll install this. And is there any config? No. So I'll add that to my spreadsheet and I'll make a note that it needs various packages such as Cairo, dbus, fuse, fuse and BindFS, and BindFS is off of or not in BLFS, so that's probably irrelevant, although I think we install fuse for other things. GDB is needed, GJS, some documentation if that's important. Doesn't say whether it's API or not. API documentation not bothered about. glib networking, Mako and Markdown, which I think are both Python modules if I remember correctly. So there's quite a few dependencies just to enable better coverage, by the looks of it, for testing. Apart from Mako and Markdown, it doesn't mention that they're for tests, so they may add additional functionality. So it's basically all of that is what we're rebuilding glib for. But it is installed now, so or installed to some extent. Tidy that up and go back to Apache Ant, and this should be able to be built now. So I'd already downloaded this, and there's an internet connection, and we've set up the certificate store, so that should be okay. Now I believe this uses Java to build itself, which is why it was important to build it, why it's a requirement. So let's just start this off. So I assume it's going to be downloading stuff at the moment, I'm not sure. Oh no, it looks like the next bit's the download part. Oh, it is doing some compiling here at the moment, so this is Java compiling it's doing. So that's done, that's the bootstrap initialized, so now it's going to fetch some stuff off the internet. So that's successful, and now we build it with this command. Okay, that's built, so as the root user we install it. looks like it goes into the opt directory, so therefore we need to create an additional path, or a path in a new script, more to the point, for the profile to load. So let's resource profile as the ordinary user. So if we do echo ant home, which is what's being set there, as well as adding the binary path to the path variable, this will be empty. So if we source etc profile now, we've now got an ant home, and if I echo path, you can see that we've got ant bin has been set. I think we can do off the top of my head ant. Let's try version. Yep. And that is today's date. So that's all worked. And I don't think there's any reinstalls needed there. I mean, we could rebuild it using the JDK we're going to build from source again, but I see very little point in doing that. So I'll update my list again, Apache Ant. And shut that down. And now we can build FOP. So the only requirement here that we can't fulfill by the looks of it is a graphical environment to run the tests. So it might be possibly an idea to leave this to rerun the tests after the graphical environment has been created, or to make a note at least, because once we've got a graphical environment, I'll be on the Raspberry Pi screen rather than accessing it remotely. So let's start with this build. Let's tidy up first. Okay, so it's interesting that it says about to build the Jimmy SDK and or XML unit extension classes, ensure the corresponding jar files can be found in the class path environment variable. So I thought that might be what these are, but they're not. So I'm not sure why it mentions them, and there's no other reference to them. so assume they're not important. So let's extract this, and it's called FOP. And we can copy the XML hyphenation patterns into the build tree, installing a temporary Maven binary. So that's the other download. Installing FOP components. The Java.command command that ships with OpenJDK 10 and later has become much stricter than previous versions regarding conformance to the Java.comments comments in source code to HTML. The FOP documentation does not meet these standards, so the conformance checks have to be disabled. Okay. Compile the following commands. Oh, that's interesting as well. It says that the package does come with a test suite, but the Java instruction installed in this book does not allow running it. And yet the graphical environment is required to run tests, so there's another anomaly with this package, so I'm not getting any problems with this. Seems like the instructions maybe aren't completely up to date. So we'll see how we go. Anyway, you can see that at the moment it's compiling using the Java compiler, so these are ANT responses here, so I think this just takes a minute or two, judging by the SPU estimate. Okay, yeah, it's just over a minute that took. So as the root user, install it, remove the temporary copy of Apache Maven, so to avoid possible out of memory errors, you need to pass an extra parameter to the Java command using the FOP script. Yep, so this is to tell it how much RAM's installed to limit it. And that's in megabytes. Yep, example. So I would hesitate at putting in the full amount because the full amount's never going to be totally available. So I would suggest, I've got 16 megabytes on here, maybe putting in 12 megabytes. Which would be let's get a calculator up. In fact, I wonder how old these instructions are, because that's only 3/4 of a gigabyte, which I doubt if any computer, modern computer, has got these days. But 12 times 1024, that's how many megabytes it would be in gigabytes. So I'm going to put that figure in, 12288. I think that's a reasonable amount. So if I cat that, oh, that's the root user I've done that for, isn't it? So let's copy that again and do it for the normal user. Before I do that, actually, I may as well do this profile, which needs to be done to add FOP into the path. So I'll come out of this. I'll source the profile again. Echo $path. And yeah, there's the opt FOP that was set. And I'll copy this in. So there you go. So that looks all fine. So I'll tidy this up now. And as I said, I don't think that needs to be reinstalled. At all. So I'll put that in my list. FOP. And I think I may be able to do that XMLTO now. So I'll get rid of that. Was it under shared? Yeah. Let me open that in the new tab. Yeah, FOP. These two are outside of Beyond Linux from scratch. We've got links installed, so I think we can probably do this one next. Tick that off. So it looks like it's fairly straightforward. Link. Oh, the environment will fix this bug. Right, so it doesn't say if that should be changed to links actually. So it just says setting this file does not cause problems if links is not installed. Okay, so maybe it's just a links with a K related problem, not as a links with a Y and an X. So if we do get any problems, then I'll have to try and remember to come back here to fix that, because I imagine that's what the problem would be. So that's that done. XMLTO. I'll put that in the book, in my list rather, from the book. And now I can rebuild shared MIME info. let's go back to that. Shared MIME info. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's because it didn't say what it's for that I don't know what it's doing, so I'll rebuild it. And then if it picks it up automatically, it does. If it doesn't, well, alright, I've installed a package that will be used by other things anyway. And all I've lost is a little bit of time rebuilding a package, possibly unnecessarily, but as I say, I don't know. So rather than take the risk, I'll rebuild it. So that's the XDG MIME to allow tests to be run. Rebuild this. Ninja test. There's no failures. Install it again. Is there anything there about anything? No, it doesn't look like it. So I think that's all I can do. Okay, and I'll put that in my spreadsheet to say that it's been rebuilt now. And I'll cross that off to say that I don't need to worry about it anymore. So font effects, I'll strike that through. So that's shared MIME info. glib, so we've still got to do the Java configuration after sudo. glib for all those dependencies. So we're back now to docbook xsl ns, which needed Apache Ant for some web help documents, which we can produce now. libxslt, Ruby for EPUB style sheets. I think this was quite an involved build. Yeah, there's lots of dependencies there, so it's not particularly important. And it's questionable whether it's worth bothering to reinstall this if we can produce documentation in, for example, this web help format and zip using EPUB 3 documents, which I presume are an advance on EPUB. It's probably not worth worrying about too much. Although, again, it's all runtime stuff, so it's by the by. Apache Ant have probably done that for some other reason. So docbook XSL 179. So the download, the title of this is XSL-NS-1792, but the download is just docbook XSL-1792. So that's obviously what the NS stands for, namespaced version of the style sheets. Let's see if there's any additional settings. No, there isn't, so let's just follow the instructions as they are. Patch it. Install the style sheets with this command. Configure it as the root. And that's done. Did I run a patch? Yes, I did. Docbook XSL that one in. XSL NS1792. Shut that one down. And now we've got docbook XML. We've got the dependencies satisfied. So with the zip archives, always be wary. It may tell you to do it, it may not. In this case, it doesn't tell you. A lot of the zip files just extract without a parent directory, so it'll pollute your BLFS directory with loads of other little files that you'd have to go around and tidy up. If you're unsure, you might want to make a temporary directory before you unzip it. So in this case, I wouldn't need to because it doesn't tell me to, but just to prove a point. As you can see, this one has got a top level directory, which is why it hasn't mentioned creating a separate directory. I was root user. Did I do this correctly before? Yes, I thought so. I didn't install this correctly. I missed that permission denied. There's similar sort of instructions. So I need to get the docbook XSL NS up and reinstall it. So I need to find out where I got that from. Was it this one? That one there it'll be. Yeah. So let's rerun this. So the patch would have been as the ordinary user. It's the configuration and the installation that I haven't completed correctly. So let's rerun this. XSL was it? Yeah. So reapply the patch. And you can see how easy it is to miss things, especially hard when you're talking and doing things at the same time. And this may have caused a big issue with some package, it may have caused a small issue or no apparent issue, but it certainly would have done something. Okay. XSL 1792, right, that's better. So go back here. This time I will just unzip it in the correct place. Docbook 5. So as the root user, and that's all there is for that. So that's docbook 5, docbook XML 5. So that's added. Can shut that one down now and go into our PC SVC Proto. And this has got no dependencies whatsoever. from. Okay, and we'll install that now, and it's done. Add that one in the book. RPC SVC Proto. And that can be shut down. So now we're on to libtrpc. This hasn't got any dependencies either. Nothing that we'll be using anyway. If updating this package, you'll need to update any existing version of RPC bind, so it looks like we haven't got that installed. And if I look down my list, which is only 27 packages so far, with many hundreds more to come, I definitely haven't made a note of that, so I'm quite satisfied that it hasn't been installed. Another way of checking, although not totally foolproof, is to look at the packages that have been downloaded, and if we look at the R's, we haven't got it. The only one there close to it is that one we just installed. Okay, install it, and that's done. Right, so add that one in. This is the thing, I've got to remember to add them in rather than getting excited and trying to carry on. And I can shut that one down. libnsl. So fairly easy instructions to follow. And install. So that's done. So add it to the book, the list rather. And shut that down. So now we're on to Linux-PAM, and we should have everything we need to install, as well as some documentation and man pages hopefully. And then it looks like we've got to rebuild Shadow and systemd afterwards. With Linux-PAM 1.4 and higher, PAM crackler module is not installed by default. Use libpw quality to enforce strong passwords. So we can do that after that's been done as well. Let's have a quick look at that. Yep. I've got to reinstall those two. So for PAM module, PAM login UID, referred by PAM configuration file system session if systemd is rebuilt with PAM support later to work. A kernel configuration parameter needs to be set, or the module will just do nothing. Okay, so we'd better check that's been set. Let's become root. I don't think, did I set the... No, I didn't set the option to add this to it. I thought I had done. Which is a bit of a shame, really. I might... go into... Let's have a look at this. Is this still set as root, is it? Yes, it is. What I might do is, while I'm in here checking this, I'll set the configuration to be made available. Oh yeah, it should be there. Enable IK config. So I need to install that then, maybe. Mod probe. IK config. Will that do it? No. Oh, that's the configuration name I just put in, isn't it? So, what's it called? If enabled. Yeah, it doesn't say what the module name is. Defined it in its kconfig. Right, yeah, if this needs a change, this auditing setup, which, let's look for that one. Auditing support, yes, it's already set. I'll rebuild the kernel with that set the next time I need to make a change. I'm not sure where or how to find this. Configs.ko. I wonder if that's it. So that works. Let's have a look, see if we've got proc. Yeah, it's made it available. Okay, so it's called configs. So what I would have done normally is to have done, is it zgrep? I think you can do, yeah. Zgrep, and I want to look for the word audit inside that file, and there is config audit there, and it's telling me it's set. So I need to make a note of that because I've always built that in normally. So it's something a little bit new to me. So proc config is mod probe configs, because there's no doubt that we'll be using that again. Okay, so that's set, so this will work. Let's go back to BLFS and download this. So this is the documentation here. So if you've installed DocBook, yep, so you can see we've got all of these. To generate the plain text format of the documentation, modify Mise and Build to use links instead of W3M or E-links. The BLFS does not provide. So let's try this. Let's see if there's any other options. Doesn't look like it. So we'll just go ahead and build it. Okay, it says it's failed. It looks like it's failing creating a PDF for some reason, even though we've put the PDF stuff in, FOP. LibLCMS2.SO.2. Oh, that's interesting. So it needs libLCMS installed. Didn't see that anywhere. Was it one of these ones here? No, I can't recall seeing that at all. So I'm not sure why that's come up. No, there's nothing there. Right, so yeah, I'm not sure about LCMS. I'm not sure if that's going to be lots of dependencies. Yes, I think this will be. So yeah, this is going to go around in circles now. Right, I'm going to have to disable that then, unfortunately, after building all of that. Although these are optional. Oh, I wonder if we can get away with it and then rebuild Little CMS later. Right, let's clear this up. Linux-PAM. Let's open Little CMS up here. So let's run the configure, make sure it doesn't fail, saying it needs anything else. No, it hasn't, that's good. Let's compile it. That's good, that's passed. So let's see how the tests fare. Okay, that's good. So I'll install that. copy that up, and I'll put that on the list and tell myself to reinstall that. After those two optional dependencies have been installed, because they will be installed, and it makes sense to let Little CMS take care of them or use them. So rebuild after libjpeg turbo and libtiff. Right, so that's done. Let's go back to Linux-PAM and see if the documentation builds this time. So it looks like something's got a dependency problem there. I don't recall seeing that. I may have missed it. There's a good chance of that. So let's extract Linux-PAM again, change into it, and notice that if there was any problems, I always start afresh rather than using a stale directory, stale source directory. I don't know what state it's in. Some packages may be able to recover and others might not, so after some problems, so it's worth starting afresh. Yeah, incidentally you can see that it's found links and it's found FOP. Okay, that's building now by the looks of it. Okay, this is where it failed. So yeah, that's looking a lot better. I think it was 300 and something it failed at. Okay, so that has completed. If you have a system... Right, so we haven't got Linux-PAM installed. We're installing it for the first time. For first time installation, create a configuration file as the root user. Run Ninja test. That doesn't say to do that as the root, so okay, that's all passed. Then become the root again. Remove that test file, test configuration file. Install the package. If you do not have the optional dependencies installed to build the documentation and download the optional pre-built, okay, so we saw that being built, so we don't need to do that. And that's the sample, so we've got to create some configuration files. If you wish to enable strong password support, install the PW quality and follow the instructions on that page to configure PAM module with strong password support. Let's see what it says there. Okay. Next, add. So I assume, does it mean to do it now then? If you wish to enable, install and follow instructions on that page to configure PAM. Right, yeah, I think let's have a look again. The system password is being installed. Yeah, it gives an implication to do that next, from what I can see. So I think I will do this next. We shouldn't need the Linux-PAM anymore, but it looks like it's just one more, set of configuration files. So I'll tidy this up. And jump to libpw quality. We need cracklib. Right, I better put down that I've installed Linux-PAM first of all. Linux-PAM. And now we're going to install cracklib. So that's the package. Word list for English speaking countries. And it says there are additional word lists at that URL there. So is there any optional commands here? No, it doesn't look like it. So I'll configure and build this. Install it. Issue the following commands of the root user to install the recommended word list and create the cracklib dictionary. Check for proper operation of the library as an unprivileged user. That's okay. If desired, test the Python module. Why not? We've got Python installed. It gets used for lots of things. Yep, that's fine. If you're installing cracklib after your LFS system has been completed and you have Shadow package installed, you must reinstall Shadow if you wish to provide strong password support on your system. If you're now going to install the Linux package, you may disregard this note as Shadow being reinstalled after Linux-PAM installation. Right, okay, so this all gets a bit confusing now. We're going to be installing Shadow anyway and systemd, so I think this is cracklib done with. And add that to the list. And shut that down. Go and do libpw quality. So configure the package, and also looks like a Python module as well. So that looks like that completed as the root user. Install the package and the Python module. I think that's what that's doing. So now we install the PAM configuration for libpw quality, and that's done. So add that one into the list, libpw quality. And shut that down. So now we can go back to Linux-PAM and just finish this off. So back as root, copy that in. Okay, that looks like that's done. So we've got to reinstall Shadow and systemd. So let's do these in order. Shadow first. We haven't got Shadow here. Let's take a new copy of it. Oh, did that as root. Right. Important installation commands shown below for installations where Linux PAM has been installed and Shadow is being reinstalled to support the Linux PAM installation. Which is what we're doing. Okay, that's done. So become the root. Install it. And it says the main page was installed in BLFS, but if reinstallation is required or desired, we can rerun these if we want. That's fine. The rest of this page is devoted to configuring Shadow to work properly with Linux PAM. The information below will provide a basic setup so that Shadow's login and password functionality will work effectively with Linux PAM. Review the information links on the Linux PAM page for further configuration. For information specific to integrating Shadow, Linux PAM and libpw quality, you can visit the following link. Okay, so configuring login.defs. Let's copy that and paste that in. etc pamd files, so let's copy this. Make sure it's all copied and paste that in. Password su. Change password and new users. Change. And the other Shadow utilities are covered by that command. So we've got to rename a file here. Configure resource limits. So be sure to test the login capabilities of the system before logging out. Errors in the configuration can cause a permanent lockout, requiring a boot from an external source to correct the problem. Okay, so I need to get another tab up and SSH in. As Kernotex. That's worked. Let's try as the root. That's worked. The only thing I can't do is log in remotely because I haven't got a screen plugged in. Log in at the terminal because I haven't got a screen plugged in at the moment, so I can't unfortunately test that. But at least I can get in remotely. So that's good. Let's remove that. And I'll also test the SU, because that was one of the configuration files. That's worked as well, so that's good. So I can set that down as completed in my list. Shadow. And I can close that down, and now I've got to reinstall System D. So again, I've downloaded this separately from LFS. And there's loads of other options here as well, I presume to provide more functionality. So let's have a look at this one here. Right, so what happened to that? XSLT, is that the one we've already installed, is it? Yes, it is. So we could put that one in to build the index of systemd manual pages. That might be quite useful. Yeah, let's put this in next. So LXML. Okay, this is taking a long time. Oh yeah, it's quite a long time. A lot of these modules are fairly quick. Right, that's done, so we can install that now. And that's complete. Yep. Was it LXML? Yeah. So I'll put that into the list. There's a Python module. Where is it? There it is, LXML. So okay, that's in. So I can carry on with system D. Let's see if there's any extra options for building with this index. Looks like it's going to be doing things automatically from what I can tell. Okay, so don't think I've done anything to this, but to be sure, I'll tidy it up and extract it again. If a previous version of systemd has been installed, remove the service that will generate errors on the following boots as the root user. So we have got a previous version. Well, is it a previous version? Yeah, I don't know. Does that mean an earlier version or not? I'm going to remove that just in case. And then carry on with the instructions. Although I imagine that means an earlier version like 259.0 because this is the systemd version of Beyond Linux from Scratch, therefore by implication it exists, but there we go. There's a note there for when it's finished. For best test results, make sure you run the test suite from a system that is booted by the same systemd version that you're rebuilding. So I guess it means that if you're maybe testing in a root environment, but we've booted from this environment, so it should be okay. Right, that's finished building, so we're going to run the tests now. Just see how long this takes. Yeah, it might take a few more minutes. So let's see about configuring this. System session file needs to be modified. A new file needs to be created in order for systemd login to work correctly. So let's change these. As the root user replaces the running systemd manager, the init process with the systemd executable newly built and installed. A desktop environment often runs as a group of systemd user services. Those services are spawned by the systemd per user interface instance instead of the login shell. To ensure those services get the environment variables we've set via etc profile D as the root user, install a systemd environment generator to dump all the relevant exported environment variables into systemd per user instance when the instance starts to run. Okay, it's quite complex. And read that link there for details about systemd environment generators. Note that if you've edited the content of etc profile D when a desktop environment is running, you need to sync the change into the systemd per user instance. Okay. And then log out and log in again to sync the change in the desktop environment. That's interesting. So I wonder if that's something that needs to be done throughout the book, or if we get told about it, I don't know. Because it does say if you've edited content of that directory when a desktop environment is running. Now ensure Shadow's already been built with Linux-PAM support first, then log out and log in again. This will ensure that running login session is registered with system login D. If you're upgrading from a previous version of systemd and an init RD is used for systemd, you should generate a new init RD. Okay, we haven't done that, so we don't need to do that bit. So what we'll do is get another tab up and test the login again. So that works. And let's log in as the root. Let's make sure that works. Okay, this. I should really set this to use bash .0.200. 168. Oh yeah, I've got too many noughts in, haven't I? 200. Right. Okay, so that works as well. So that's good. And finally, I'll also, as before, just check I can access via SU. And I can, so that's good. So what I'm going to do finally is to take a chance and reboot the Pi, because I haven't tested that yet after a reboot. So let's do that now. In fact, what I'll do is I'll log off here and I'll do Control-Alt-Delete on the Raspberry Pi. And okay, I've got the keyboard lights come up. Just give it 10 seconds or so to come to life. Okay, yeah, that's loaded straight away. And I'm in. Yep, so that looks all good. So shut down system D. I need to add that to the list. System D. Right, okay, so that's really the first thing that's been completed, is to basically get Linux-PAM installed. So the next thing I want to try and target now is to get Sudo installed just for convenience. So let's get that up and see what that requires. So I'm not going to be installing this Kerberos this time, or OpenLDAP. An MTA, let's have a look at that. So SendMail's not here anymore, which is one I think I used to use. Is SendMail actually on the list? No, it's not there anymore, even though it mentions it. So I don't know if any of these are lightweight or not. I'm not really too concerned about this. That's not lightweight. That's not really lightweight either. Neither's that. So I'm not going to be too concerned about this. I guess for Sudo's point of view, it would be sending an email to an admin if somebody tried to access the system, perhaps. I guess that's what that's there for. So, like I said, not that bothered. I'll just install Sudo as it is. Now I've got Linux-PAM installed. That was the main thing to get done. So have we got any other options here? So without PAM, if we haven't got PAM installed, which we have, they don't enable this option. This which includes all the sudo insult sets. Insults are printed if the user types a bad password and if enabled in etc sudoers used with insults to enable them by default. Okay, so I suppose we can add that in. And configure like that. And build. Okay, that's done, so let's run some tests. Check the results. There's no failures come out in that grep, so we can install. And it looks like there's some, libtool archives there, so it's perhaps time to remember to remove them with that script. Yeah, there it is. So yeah, that's backed up some stuff there. Sudos can be quite complicated. Create the sudo's configuration file as the root user. Very simple installations where there's only one user. It may be easy just to edit the etc sudo's file directly. In that case, the secure path entry may not be needed, and using sudo -e ... can import the non-privileged user's full environment into the privileged session, which is what I normally use. Recommendation to use via sudo, so it does some checking. If PAM is installed on the system, sudo's built PAM support. In that case, issue the following commands. So let's do that. Okay, I think that should be it then. So the only other thing was to add in this script here. Let's see if that does exist. No, it doesn't, so it does create it. I guess the sudos.d might not have existed. So that's the Java completed as well. I didn't put a note about that. Oh yes, I did complete sudo configuration, so I've done that now. I'll mark that off on my list. And sudo is completed as well. And I'll put the fact that the Java sudo configuration has been completed as well. Okay, so I can shut that down now, and sudo should be complete. So I'm going to test this now. Let's tidy this up. Yep, so that's normally the sort of message you get when you're not in the sudo group. Does it say how to add users here? No, I can't remember. Is it the wheel then? Is that the group? User mod. User mod. So I want to append a new group called wheel for user Kernotex. So now if I relog in as Kernotex. My groups, I should be part of the wheel group, so let's see if I can, oops, do this. Yes, that looks better now. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is to make this passwordless, so I don't want to keep on typing the password every time I do sudo, so I'm going to use sudo, which I'll have to use sudo for, and scroll down here and remove that comment. I guess that's what this script here is doing. So that's basically saying everybody that's in the wheel group will get sudo access, but there's no indication that a password is not required. Whereas what I've done here, that is the same as that line there, basically. So I'll just leave this as it is, save that. I'll log out and log out again, re-log in, so I've got a new session. Now if I do sudo su minus, it shouldn't ask, it shouldn't ask the password. Why has it? I wonder if it's because this takes precedence. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure why that is. Let's edit this. And I'll comment this out. Let's re-log in. Right, yeah, so that was overriding that by the looks of it. Yeah, it's hard to know whether to use the sudo, or it's probably best to, because it gets checked, but then there's risk of other things maybe being changed. That's retained the path, and yeah, I think that forces a new path. Yeah, that's the same. Okay. Let's see if this will work if I change this again and remove that so the paths get brought in. Echo path. No, that looks like that's getting ignored now. Oh. Oh, right, okay, that's where that's coming from, is it? Secure path. Okay, I think what I might do is put this back how it was and just edit this file here, put it back to how it was, but put the no password in and just leave it like that. So I'll put no password colon there. So echo $path. Oh no, it hasn't been limited. Oh, is that something else to change? I'm not really sure how this works. Okay, so that's still reading it from sudo then, I think. Secure path entry may not be needed and can import them. Well, this has definitely brought in the user's direct path because it's got etc, opt fop there and the JDK, which wasn't in via sudo. So I'm not quite sure why that's not working. This path certainly isn't being picked up. Oh yes, I know why. I'm being a bit silly here. If I did sudo echo $path, no, that's still not it. That is a reduced one though. Oh right, that's it. When you do su, yeah, it's because the minus logs you in with a fresh login, I believe. So that's why. So it is working okay. Right, yeah. So I'll leave it like that then. So I haven't actually edited the sudoers file with via sudo. I've modified this file, so I'd have to remember that if I did need to change anything else. And if I did the same thing with -e and then echo path, oh right, that stays the same. Interesting. So it looks like that setting takes precedence. Okay. Anyway, it's working how I want it to be. I want it to be able to become full root like that without having a password prompt. So that's exactly what I want, and it just happens to be that the path I've got is the original user's path. It looks like automatically without me having to use -e, from what I can tell. Let's check. I suppose these would be set anyway. Let's try export Fred equals Bob. Echo $Fred. No, so it's not exporting everything. -e echo $Fred. No, so that would only work with su then, I assume, because that's a brand new session. Yeah, a brand new session of the root logging in effectively with the minus. So yeah, that's okay. Right, so that is sudo done. PAM's done. We've checked the login. At least the login remote is working. I haven't been able to test it on the console, but I can't see any reason why it won't work. So I'll shut that down and go back and have to decide where to go to next.